The KUDZUKIAN Network presents GRINDSET, inside the mind of successful entrepreneurs with your host, Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack.
I think sometimes we overplan things and that can kind of cause a delay or setback. But I would definitely say dive in, get your name started, get your website up, get your business cards.
But you're going to learn from a lot of amazing people what kind of pitfalls that they have, the challenges, but what really made them successful, what made them keep going.
GRINDSET.
Welcome back to another episode of GRINDSET. I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels, Chief Event Strategist of Cynthia Daniels & Company.
And I'm your co-host, Williams Brack, asset-based lender at First Tennessee Bank.
And today's guest is Charles Ewing, founder of Ewing Moving and Storage Incorporated, company founded in 1980. And we're going to learn of how he went from starting a company with one truck, and now he has an entire fleet and ships globally.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I mean, it is pretty amazing, especially with so many moving companies out here. I'm very curious about how Mr. Ewing distinguishes his company here in Memphis and how he's grown it since 1980. So we'll be right back after the break with Mr. Charles Ewing, founder of Ewing Moving and Storage Company, right here on GRINDSET.
Riffin' on jazz.
I think I know a lot about jazz.
It's only what you've been doing the last 30-some years.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
A voice that can make you laugh and make you cry.
Good jazz, you don't have to worry about what they're talking about. But when they pick up those instruments, we all speak the same language. And don't you know you went in the kitchen and come back with a big bowl of salad?
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, this is Charles Ewing, founder and CEO of Ewing Moving and Storage, Inc. And when I'm not moving, I'm listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
We are very excited to have Charles Ewing Sr., who is the president and CEO of Ewing Moving and Storage Incorporated. You've been in business since 1980. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So tell us, and all of our listeners out there, what exactly does your company do? I think it's in the name, but I'm sure you do a little bit more than that.
Well, that's part of my DNA is the name.
Okay.
Ewing Moving Service was started back in 1980 with a pickup truck and a whole lot of faith.
Okay.
And we took that and just started moving people that needed to move.
Who was the we?
Well, I had one other gentleman that worked with me. His name was James Isabel.
Okay.
James Isabel and I started moving people that casually wanted to move over the weekend.
Okay.
And we took that pickup truck and moved people, and the business continued to grow. And as it continued to grow, I was working a full-time job at the time.
Okay.
So at the job that I was working at was the local newspaper, was the Memphis Commercial Appeal. They was called the Memphis Press Scimitar.
Okay.
It was called Memphis Publishing Company, which was the owner of both the Press Scimitar and the Commercial Appeal.
Okay.
And we had 1,500 employees.
And what'd you do for them?
So I moved them.
Oh.
So I put a card on the bulletin board in the credit union, and everybody that went to the credit union got an opportunity to see the card, and if they had to move, they would call me. And then the word of mouth got around that we were reasonable and professional and could do the job.
But if I may go back a little bit further, who had the idea? Where did the idea come from to say we want to move people on the weekends? Where did that come from? Because you were working a full-time job, right?
I was working a full-time job. I was working in housekeeping at night, and I was dropping bundles of papers off to the paper boys for the Press Scimitar in the daytime.
Okay.
So that was your job for them?
That was my job for them.
Got
I
it.
worked two jobs. My stepfather was the transportation supervisor, so he got me in housekeeping. And I worked in housekeeping, and then he got me a paper route, which was dropping bundles off for the paper boys to distribute the papers, where I had a pickup truck. And my supervisor in the housekeeping department recommended me to move a guy. I moved this guy who was head over the marketing department from out around Macon to downtown. They had just started these apartment complexes called the Front Row at Union and Front.
Okay.
And when I moved him, he had a 8-foot-long sofa, and he moved on the 8th floor.
Oh, my
and the
goodness.
8-foot sofa would not go into the elevator.
Okay.
So this one guy and I took that sofa up 8 flights of stairs and put it in his apartment.
Okay.
When we got through, I charged him $75. he gave me a $50 tip and told me, you're good, go in business, don't charge anybody any less than $125.
Wow.
Right.
And that's how it got started.
That's some great advice right there.
So how do you go from that moment, right, and one pickup truck did you own that pickup truck?
I did.
So one pickup truck that you own and a buddy of yours,
yes,
to go to 2 pickup trucks, to go to a tractor trailer, right? What's that progression and how long did that take?
Well, what happened, he recommended me to another guy who was over at Advertising Display. Mm-hmm. He said, now this guy has a 3-bedroom home. He wants you to move. He's going to rent a U-Haul, and he's still going to give you $125 to load his U-Haul. So I went and moved him.
Okay.
And then I went home bragging about the $125 to my stepdad. He said, boy, you a fool. He said, you could have rented the truck and charged him $300.
Wow.
And so, and what he was talking about, the commercial appeal was using U-Haul trucks on the weekend because they didn't have their own trucks.
Okay.
Where he was over the fleet. So he knew the guy who rented the U-Haul. Uh-huh. He said, I'm going to send my stepson down there to you, and I need you to take care of him. Mm-hmm. Well, when I went down there, this guy let me get the U-Haul for the whole weekend for $39.99.
Wow.
Can't beat
for the
that.
whole weekend. And so I started renting the truck,
okay,
moving people, and charging by the hour.
Okay.
I was charging by the hour for moving. And I started advertising in the East Memphis Shopper, which was a driveway newspaper.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I advertised in the East Memphis Shopper, and I scheduled all my moves to be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
On the weekend.
On the weekend.
Okay.
And I did that, and then they changed my shift, made me off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Uh-oh.
So I worked in the day. I was working at night, though, so it was still good for me.
Okay.
Because I was able to do moving in the daytime. Tuesday and Wednesday, I'd work long jobs. So I would schedule all my jobs where I could continue to work my full-time job and move people at the same time.
So you've never been a stranger to hard work is what I'm hearing.
No, sir. My mom was the Avon lady.
Yeah. Avon lady, paper route. These are all the marks of hard-working families.
That's correct. I was a shoe shine boy. I shined shoes on Mississippi and Walker. I shined shoes at Walker and Wellington. For years, I shined shoes and made an honest living. And my mom had a grocery basket, and we used to fill that grocery basket up and deliver Avon.
Wow!
And in the summertime,
I remember the Avon lady from my grandma.
We were the Avon. We were the Avon kids. And then after that, my mom, the Church of God in Christ was right down the street. Mason Temple was right down the street.
Okay.
So we shined shoes. My mom had delegates that lived with us on a regular basis.
Okay.
These people were almost like family members that came to town. They lived with us, and my mom used to sell barbecue out there. She's fired that grill up and sell rib sandwiches, and she died, the Candy Lady.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And she was 87 years old when she passed. And she was still a candy lady.
All right.
So entrepreneur has always been in my blood.
I love it.
So it was only a matter of time.
Yes.
So you're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I'm loving this story. I can listen to you all day. I want to know, what was that moment when you realized, wait a minute, I can do this moving thing full time, not just on the weekends and a few times during the week?
One of the things is, and I share this with people every day, for aspiring young entrepreneurs. If you have a full-time job, let your business force you out of your job.
Wow.
If your business isn't pushing you out of your job, then you need to keep your job.
That's golden.
That's a major key alert.
It is.
If your business isn't pushing you out your job, you need to keep your job.
And I can totally relate to that. Okay. So once you were pushed out of that job,
I was pushed out.
What was the first 12 months like when it was just Ewing Moving?
Well, you talking about after I left commercial appeal?
And no full-time job, just Ewing moving full-time.
Well, I really strategically left the commercial appeal because when I left there, I owned 7 trucks.
Wow.
And I was going before the Public Service Commission to get my intrastate authority. I got my interstate authority in 1991, meaning that I could run all 50 states in the United States, but couldn't take a load to Nashville.
Wow.
Because it was a regulated state. Tennessee was a regulated state.
Okay.
So I had to go before the Public Service Commission, which was made up of 3 people. These three people ran the Public Service Commission, and the good old boy network blocked me from getting my intrastate authority. But Lord blessed, I was able to hire the right people. And that's the reason I also share is two things you need in business: a good attorney and a good banker.
That's right.
You got to have both
Shout out
of
to
those.
all the good bankers.
Yes.
I had a good attorney that was able to help me to strategize on the representation I needed to go before this Public Service Commission board. I took University of Memphis, which was one of my contracts, the Shelby County Airport Authority, which was another one, and First Tennessee Bank. Those were three of my customers. So those three customers supported me to get my authority. Authority meaning that you had to prove convenience and necessity.
Okay.
And when I went before the Public Service Commission in June of 1993, I quit the week before I went there. I quit my job. I resigned.
Yes.
Because I knew that they was going to say it wasn't convenient if I was working a full-time job.
That makes sense.
Nobody knew that. Even my attorney didn't know that until I went before the commission, and that was one of the first questions they asked.
Yeah.
How is it convenient if you work a full-time job? I said, I resigned last week. I don't have a full-time job.
Awesome.
And they said, well, what is it, the necessity? I said, all of these, my customers here need to do business with minority businesses.
That's right.
I just so happen to be 100% minority owned and operated.
There you go. I love it.
So that's how I was able to get my intrastate authority. The first time I went to Tennessee Movers Association meeting, it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is the home and the founder of the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
I took my children, my wife, and all of us. We stayed at the Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Oh, wow.
And I took them just in case.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
We'd all be buried together.
One for all and all for one.
But that was how I got that was the first 12 months. So now we starting out that I'm no longer working a full-time job. My full-time job is the moving industry. Like I said, when I left, I had 7 trucks. And I owned my own building. I bought my own building at the corner of Crump and Maine. The old Tisha Meat Company is now Bosco's Brewery. I sold it to them. I sold them the building.
Wow.
But I started there at that building because I had planned it. I had saved a 1 year salary, which was $25,000. I saved that $25,000, so if anything happened, I would have a year's salary. I didn't put myself on salary until that July. That July, I put myself on salary, and I paid myself $500 a week.
Wow.
And that's all I made. Regardless of what the company made, it paid me $500 a week because that's what I was making at Commercial Appeal, and I could survive off of it.
I assume you had kept your home expenses as low as possible,
I
too.
did. Yeah. I did. My wife wore the same shoes that I married her in, which she had a lot of shoes anyway. So, she wore the same shoes. My wife did payroll and everything for me while I was at work.
Yeah. But I think that's an important lesson for entrepreneurs or people aspiring to be entrepreneurs, that your cost of living needs to be minimal.
Your cost of living needs to be. My father and my stepfather used to tell me all the time, don't be like the average black business that get a business going and then take his Cadillac and park it at the front door and make his customers walk in the rain to get to him.
That's right.
Doesn't make sense.
That's right.
He also told me, he said, when you're renting somebody else's property, still treat it like it's yours. I did that with Tisha Meat Company. I took care of that building. I painted it. I took care of it. I didn't call him every time a pipe burst or something. I fixed it. So when it came time for me to buy the building, he practically gave me the building because his wife said, this guy has taken care of this building, so let's make him an offer he can't refuse.
Wow.
I paid $10,000 down for that corner. And they financed it at 7% interest rate. And I continued to pay the same $1,200 a month rent until I paid for it at $150,000.
Wow,
incredible!
And so I sold the building to Bosco for about $275,000.
Wow,
that's all right.
I think I can pull a major key alert out.
There we go.
If you take care of people, they'll take care of you.
That's correct.
Man.
Absolutely.
You take care of people and just do right. I'm telling you, do the right thing.
Yeah.
I was sharing earlier with some friends, and I was telling them that you got to have a solid foundation. And if you got the right foundation, then you can build your business. And that foundation needs to be Christ. because in you can take that. I didn't even read any books on entrepreneurs. I read the Bible, which said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." And that's what I tell my employees. If you want to know if you're treating the customer right, put yourself in their position.
Right.
How would you want to be treated if I was moving your furniture?
Right.
You know, would you want the plumber, if you called the plumber to go under your house and go to sleep while he under there, you want him working?
I want him working. I'll go ahead and
working because you're probably paying him $75 to $100 an hour to be under there.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, so you don't want him under there taking a nap.
Right. Now I have a quick question before we close out of this segment. Just as you're becoming a successful entrepreneur, you know, your business is thriving, you're growing your brand. Did you feel like you lost any friends or any relatives along the way? Any problems there? Because I definitely feel like some entrepreneurs have dealt with that.
No, I didn't even focus on that.
Okay.
My friend, for one, once you make a decision about your life, then others will either join in or they'll shed.
Okay.
You know, that's because they're not about what you are. If you working hard every day, you getting up going to work, the folks that want to sit around and shoot pool and shoot the breeze and talk and watch football games. I didn't watch football games. I was a workaholic.
Okay.
I worked hard to grow my business. And everybody knew that. You know, they said one thing, and to this very day, people will say, if you go to work at Ewing Moving Service, there's two things guaranteed. He gonna work the hell out you, and he gonna pay you.
So you're still taking care of people.
It's still the same two things apply.
You're listening to GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're here with Mr. Charles Ewing, founder of the Ewing Moving Company. We'll be right back after the break.
GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
No, and I'm not alluding to the president being a nut. I really am not.
No, you're not alluding to it. You're saying it. Funking up your airwaves and jamming the good information in your ear. Once again, it's Funky Politics.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, I'm Alexandra Matlock, CEO of Contigo Creative, and you're listening to GRINDSET powered by KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're here with Mr. Charles Ewing, founder of the Ewing Moving Company. And before the break, your story has been inspiring, right? Without even having to read books, you're putting on a clinic of what young, aspiring entrepreneurs and aspiring people who want to be successful in life, period, right? Keep God as your foundation.
That's it.
Work hard.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this doesn't seem to be rocket science, right?
It's not. It really isn't.
And so with your formula of success, I want to talk about where Ewing Moving is today and the format. Is it still just the moving company, or have you expanded into other services?
Today, yes, we've expanded into a lot of services. As you continue to build your business, one, storage is one that we've gotten into heavily. The name of the company is Ewing Moving Service, Inc.
Got it.
And storage. And we rebranded it as our branding and marketing tool. We made it Ewing Moving and Storage because people would forget about the storage.
Right.
So now we have 91,000 square feet of storage in Memphis, warehouse storage.
Wow.
We have about 45,000 square feet, about to raise it to 75,000 in Nashville.
Wow.
And we also have mobile storage, which is the new wave now.
Yep.
Mobile storage, we are the Memphis distributors for 1-800-PACK-RAT.
Yep.
So if you need a mobile storage, we have that as well. We also moved the business into FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Oh, yeah.
We have renovated the Peabody Hotel twice.
Wow.
We just finished a 400-room renovation with the Peabody. That means everything that went in the Peabody came into Ewing Moving Service warehouse and went out as needed as the rooms were renovated.
Wow.
Okay.
We did the same thing with FedEx Forum. Everything that went in FedEx Forum came through Ewing Moving Service, and as they prepared it, the suites, we delivered the refrigerators, we delivered the seats, we delivered the furniture and fixtures and equipment. And we did the same thing for the hotel across the street from the Peabody, across the street from FedEx Forum.
That's the Westin.
The Westin. We did the FF&E for the Westin too.
Wow.
So we did the Peabody, we did the Westin, we did FedEx Forum.
So after all these years, you still working hard,
That's
huh?
Still working hard, man.
And do these companies find you, or do you feel like you still have to go out and do proposals? Or does your brand speak for itself?
Well, you have to always be marketable and market yourself.
Okay.
The Lowe's hotel that's coming in the 100 North Main building. I was there when the owner came to town to make his pitch. I was standing right there saying, when you get ready to build that hotel, FF&E and Ron Bells was standing there. I said, here's one of my customers right here that can testify to the fact that we can handle the FF&E for your 600-room hotel.
And that's a major key alert. Most of the time, people think that your brand is going to speak for you, but last time I watched TV, McDonald's was still showing a commercial, and they're all over the world. KFC was still showing commercials. They're all over the world.
Yeah.
And Ewing Moving and Storage is still advertising and marketing and doing commercials.
Right.
And so that's important.
Relationships are big.
And so now that we're in tax season, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about what the company did in revenues last year. And so just to let people know, revenues doesn't equal what you made, but it's just the company and some of the success that it's made itself.
Our goal for 2018 was $5 million.
Okay.
We did $4.8 million. So we just shy of our goal.
Okay.
You got to constantly set goals. I tell young people every day, if you don't set goals, you don't have anything to strive for.
Yep.
If you fall below, that's fine. That means you got to raise it and shoot a little higher next year.
Absolutely.
We really shooting to be a $10 million business by 2020.
Okay.
That is still our goal.
Some work to do.
A $10 million business by 2020. But it don't take but one good customer to get you there.
And so I was gonna ask, because that's an aggressive goal, right? Is there a plan laid out already to get there, or is it just a hope and a prayer?
Well, no. If you're hoping a prayer, if you don't plan to succeed without any effort, you plan to fail.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do anything to be a failure. Just don't plan, and you automatically won.
Yeah.
So no, we have a strategic plan where we're now moving into light industrial moving.
Okay.
And I got one customer that I just landed that's spending $100,000 every 3 weeks.
Wow.
Okay.
And so are you still doing all of the marketing and sales for your company, or have you hired a sales force? Are you still the man, or have you hired more rainmakers?
I had one salesman, and he was excellent, and he died last year. So it's back to me and me alone.
To hear that.
Yes, I was sorry to hear it as well. He was one that knew the industry, had worked for predominantly large majority-owned companies, and he came and he did an excellent job. He wanted to see me be successful.
Yeah.
And it's very few people that you trust with your baby. Entrepreneurs make their business their baby.
Yeah.
And we hold it very close to the vest. So it's very few people you trust to do that.
And speaking of entrepreneurs, the ones that are listening, I'd love for you to tell us one of the most expensive mistakes you made early on in business. Do you mind sharing that with our audience?
I didn't make very, very many mistakes. And I'm not saying that braggadociously. I'm saying that because I was calculated in everything I did. I took my time and made sure that we made good quality decisions.
Okay.
I think one of the I'd say a mistake that I made is that I was learning how to invest in my people.
Okay.
Because when I started my business, I would take ordinary people and do extraordinary things. I didn't have not one person in my business with a college degree until 1995.
Wow.
Okay.
That was the first time I had anybody in my business with a college degree.
But they fed off your work ethic.
Right.
Okay.
They did. And I mean, I would hire people and send them to work. They'd be like, man, I can't go to work. My light bill is due. I said, give me the bill. You go move the furniture.
Wow.
And I would go and pay people's bills. And I that was just my life. My business to me is my ministry. That's always been from day one. Because I had a decent job.
Right.
I worked 6 years in housekeeping, 9 years as a journeyman engraver at Commercial Appeal. So the job was paying pretty good money about $25 an hour when I left Commercial Appeal is what I was making then.
Wow.
And that was in 1993.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. Now, so what are some of the things in the community or in business or investment wise your success has allowed you to do?
Well, one of the things is that I started with Boys and Girls Club probably back in the early 90s.
Great organization.
Yes, and I lived down the street from the Boys and Girls Club on Walker.
Okay.
I was raised at Walker in Wellington.
Okay.
And
South Memphis, huh?
Yes, sir. Born and bred. I be South Memphis dead. But yeah, I didn't know the purpose of the Boys and Girls Club, and I always wanted to go. I thought it was a private club, and I couldn't go.
Okay.
I looked up on the hill. I'm like, dog, I sure wish I could go in that private club.
You were too busy working.
I was too busy. Yeah. So when I learned about what the Boys and Girls Club was, I made it my job to try to make sure every boy and girl that wanted to attend could.
Oh, wow.
So I served on the Boys and Girls Club board for 20 years straight on Boys. I even chaired it. I was one of the few black chairs it has ever seen.
Okay.
As chairman of the board.
And the work is more meaningful when it's personal.
It was personal. That was my passion. Even when we purchased the Grizzlies local organization agreed to give back all of the money that we earned to charity.
Wow.
We were not supposed to take one dime as profit. And we didn't during my ownership.
Wow.
And we had to pick a charity of our choice. My charity was the Boys and Girls Club. Mm-hmm. And so the first year, we had a capital campaign. And I raised $15 million for Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
$1 million of it came from the Grizzlies.
Wow.
That's incredible. And so you're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. You just kind of shared briefly, okay, yeah, when we owned the Grizzlies. Wait a minute.
All right, rewind
you said
that.
it real smooth. So I would love to kind of dig into that a little bit. How did that opportunity come about for you?
Well, I have a friend that is very philanthropic.
Okay.
And he's also one that wants to see the city come together as a whole. So we realized that it was two things in Memphis that brought everybody together, regardless of race or anything, and that is music and sports.
And
that's so
true.
Our first venture, we went and reestablished Stax Museum.
Can you sing?
Yes, I can. I have a layman's choir that I sing with.
Wow, you reestablished that.
We went and it was just this one person. His name is Staley Cates and myself, and we had one other guy that worked with us named Sherman Wilmont. Well, Sherman was our curator and our historian. He knew all about Stax, and Staley knew quite a bit about it, and he had the money, and I had the connections in the neighborhood.
And it's a wonderful museum. I've gone. Yes. I probably go 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
When we started Stax, it was nothing but a piece of land.
Wow.
We didn't even own the original site, so we had to go and get the original site. Then we had to go and get the people involved. I went and found Deanie Parker, who was the first secretary.
Right.
I brought Deanie Parker to the table.
Okay.
And so then I went and got David Porter and all of the originals, and because I knew them.
Right.
And so I went and got those and brought them to the table as well. And we went from there in building Stax back.
Okay, so that was the music part. So
that was the music part, and then so we went with the sports part.
Okay.
I was a supporter of the University of Memphis. I was one of the first black sponsors for University of Memphis basketball, and I was also had a contract with the University of Memphis. That was my very first contract. That was in 1985. I signed my very first contract to do moving for the University of Memphis.
Okay.
And so my friend, in 1993, we became partners through the partnering program.
Yep.
And so Staley Cates, Bina Cates, his mother, and Carol Crawley put us together. So Staley and I started doing all type of philanthropic ventures.
Okay.
When it came down to the Grizzlies, he said, man, I got an opportunity. He was very kosher with the NBA commissioner, David Stern.
Right.
And so he said, well, man, we got a chance to bring a team to Memphis.
Wow.
And so I said, good. He said, will you help me? I said, yeah. He said, it's going to be quite a bit of sacrificing to do this. I said, no, man, ain't going to be no sacrifice. He said, I'm telling you, man, this is big.
Trying to get you ready.
He said, this is big, man. This is really big.
Yeah.
And so he said, but we're going to need a diverse team to do it. And so I was just trying to help out.
Right.
And then after we got with Pitt Hyde and Barbara Hyde and Gail Rose, they said, well, we need some minority owners.
Okay.
Not just minority. So that means there's 2 levels of minorities.
Okay.
What are those 2 levels? I'm curious.
Okay, the first level is Michael Heisley was the majority owner.
Okay.
So all of your Memphis owners were minority owners.
Okay.
And then the blacks were the black portion of it was the minority of the minority. So I went and got Fred Jones, and Fred Jones and I became the minority investors.
Okay.
And we took that, and then we took that minority ownership, and then we started the pursuit team. And the pursuit team had to be convincing to Memphians that it was good for the whole city.
Right.
And that's where Fred and I came in the black community.
Okay.
And that was 2 solid businesses, 2 solid business owners that pretty much walk the walk and talk the talk.
That's right.
But you got that opportunity because of your philanthropic work and giving back to the community is what I heard.
Yes. At the time that the Grizzlies were pursuing, I had 13 different boards I was serving.
Hold up, 13?
I was on 13
1-3.
Impossible. How do you keep up with that?
Oh, my brother has been in the business with me all along.
Okay.
And when I left Commercial Appeal, I wanted to make Ewing Moving Service a household name.
Okay.
So that means I had to network. And I tell young people today, if you tell me you in business and I ask you for a business card and you don't have one, I don't think you're in business.
Fair enough.
I got one. You can wake me up in the middle of the night. I got my elevator speech and I got a business card.
That's right.
That's 2 things that I'm always, I don't care where I go.
That's a major key alert, by the way.
That's a major key alert. You got to have a business card and you got to be able to sell your business in a matter of the time going from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor.
Cynthia, you got a business card?
I do.
Stay
ready.
Because you're in business.
Gotta stay ready.
Yes.
So you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went on and we promoted and got the Grizzlies to Memphis. We were sitting at the table negotiating the final purchase of the Grizzlies. And the next move was to go to Vancouver and move the Grizzlies to Memphis. And the team said, well, we got to find a mover that can go get them.
Well, who was going to be the mover?
And but seriously, they were looking outside of the room.
No way.
Fred Jones said, that's already solved.
Yeah.
Ewing Moving Service is going to move the Grizzlies to Memphis.
That's incredible.
I had never done an international move.
Wow.
And I pursued it. That was in my strategic plan to do international moving.
Okay.
And I bought a laptop computer from Tate Computers. Got a double headset.
Keep it black.
Got a double headset. Bought 2 tickets to Vancouver. Went up there and laid it all out and started sending trucks to Vancouver.
You're listening to GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're here with Charles Ewing of the Ewing Moving and Storage Company. Man, you're just dropping gems on us.
Yes.
A lot of these things have been said before, but they need to be repeated over and over and over and put a face to it, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I hear some of these things nationally, but this is local. Somebody we can touch and pass by in the Kroger somewhere. You're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network, and we'll be back after the break.
R&R on Sports is proud to be on Sirius XM.
So what's R&R stand for?
Real talk and relevant sports issues.
It's racial and relative. We're brothers from the South. We can relate.
R&R on Sports on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're here with Mr. Charles Ewing of Ewing Moving and Storage, and he's been dropping dimes. We're back to GRINDSET University Part 2 with Mr. Charles Ewing.
You got it.
And so one of the things I want to ask is, we call you a minority business owner. We call you a black business owner. What role has race played both in your success and some of the challenges in business over the years?
When I started Ewing Moving Service, for years, people thought it was a white-owned business because I never sold it being a black-owned business.
Okay.
I sold a quality professional moving service that had the service at a reasonable price.
Right.
And that's what we did for years. And I did very well like that. And then later, when minority opportunities presented themselves, which we got, 3 pilots, payment in lieu of taxes. So minority business played a great part in there.
Yeah.
When we was, I was serving on the chamber board. I served on the chamber board for 7 years as director of minority business development.
Wow.
Okay.
So I was there on that board for 7 years. So it played a great part in it. And it allowed me to sit at the table with other major business owners,
Did that actually lead the business, though, or were you just at the table? Because I hear from a lot of minority entrepreneurs who do sit at the table at some of these chamber events and professional associations. They're at the table, but it doesn't necessarily lead to business.
Oh, no. All mine led to business.
Let's get it straight,
you get on boards and they say you can't promote your business.
Yeah.
Well, that's the number one thing that everybody at the table is doing. You find out everybody at the table is doing business with each other. You know? So no, that's unspoken, but it happens.
Right.
So and even at Memphis in May, I become the chairman of the board for 2020.
Wow.
I'm chair-elect right now.
Okay.
Man,
it's a big deal.
We got a star-studded lineup for this year.
Oh, no.
But even there, I moved Memphis in May into their headquarters.
Well, shout out to Memphis in May. It's one of the most important events that we have in the city. So shout out to them.
Shout out to them. And because at Memphis in May, when I sit at that Memphis in May table, I represent my people.
That's right.
And they know this.
Okay.
You're not going to, I want to know how many minority vendors we doing business with.
That's
because that's $135 million economic impact to the city of Memphis.
That's huge.
I want to know how many businesses minority businesses. What can we do to do more business with minority businesses? So that's my purpose for sitting.
Do you think we're doing more minority business today or less than in the 90s?
I think we're doing more. I know we're doing more. This one here now could be a political catastrophe because currently under Mayor Strickland, they're spending more money with minority businesses than our last 3 predecessors.
Does minority mean black or just minority in general, where they include
minority
white women
means
and
black when they're talking to me?
Yeah,
Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Otherwise, talking to me, it doesn't matter. But I'm talking about minority-owned businesses, black-owned businesses are doing more business with the city of Memphis now.
Right.
Than they've ever done.
But that's with government, which is only $600 million a year in revenues. But we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar private industry when you add the corporations, right?
When you add the corporations.
Are we doing business with corporations at a higher rate than in the 90s and early 2000s?
Government sets the tone. Private businesses follow suit.
Okay.
Government always sets the tone. If when Maynard Jackson said in Atlanta, we gonna make some black millionaires. Private industry, Coca-Cola and them got on board. When they built that airport, that was just one avenue, but then all of the other businesses got on board because the mayor had set the tone.
Fair enough. Bold leadership creates economic development in all communities and the black community.
It just can't be bold leadership. It's got to be for real leadership.
Yeah.
They got to be real about what they say. And then you got to realize sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself for others.
Right.
Martin Luther King gave up a lot in order for us to be where we are today.
Yes, he did.
And so those are some of the successes, right? You've had opportunities with the Grizzlies. Well, and I'm going to ask you about St. Jude later because you've touched on every other major institution in Memphis. But have there been challenges race-wise? Have you lost contracts? Have you lost friends? Have you lost opportunities because you were black or because people didn't want to do business with a minority business owner that you knew of?
Well,
or felt?
It's not even that.
Okay.
Minority businesses have opportunities to do business, but what they want to do is limit your business. They'll give you some business, a housekeeping contract or something of that nature. But when you go in there talking about media sponsorships and things of that nature, I mean, where the big dollars are in a business, then that's when you kind of get, kind of shoved to the side. The moving industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So for me to come in and start doing millions of dollars with a corporation, that's some serious commitment on the part of that corporation. So it's challenges always, but you got to understand how to navigate through those challenges with your business.
Now, last question before Cynthia jumps in here. Mm-hmm. Now, in the Memphis market, does it feel like for a minority to win, a white business owner loses somewhere? Or is that kind of like the general business sentiment here?
For the most part, it is. But what you have to learn in minority businesses, that not every business going to do business with you.
Right.
So what you have to do is carve off a little piece with each one of these businesses, and that way you're not subject to either one of them putting you out of business.
Right.
I don't want all of FedEx business.
You're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I'm just sitting here in awe, listening to all of the amazing things that you've shared. And one thing I want to know, in terms of a mentor in this business, I know you pretty much built this business from the ground up, but was there anyone that you seek advice from along the way? And then I wonder, what advice can you give to those entrepreneurs out there now who need a mentor in the business? How do they go about finding that person?
I've mentored and I've been mentored.
Okay.
My mentors were mainly spiritual mentors.
Okay.
They gave me spiritual guidance. I had the fortitude, I had the tenacity to pursue being successful, and I worked hard at it.
Okay.
I networked in the right places. I gave back. I understood the law of giving. That's the reason I was serving on 13 different boards. But the boards is two things about serving on boards. Number one, it either need to be your passion, or number two, it need to help your business. If those two things are not inclusive in your pursuit of boards,
major key alert.
You need to shut it down.
Okay.
You don't be on boards just because you're black.
Just want to hang out.
No, you be on. No, you want to hang out and use a social event.
Right.
I served on the chamber board because a lot of business comes through the chamber.
Okay.
Lots of business, a lot of business, and it's all about business.
Right.
You don't be on the chamber. You don't join the chamber because you got a church. You join the chamber because you got a business.
That's right.
So it's a business organization. I was with the Mid-South Minority Business Council.
Okay. The
Mid-South Minority Business Council is made up of corporations that want to do business with minority businesses.
That's a great fit.
I was you pursue boards, and I served on that board too. You pursue boards that's going to do business with your business. I was on the Federal Reserve Board in St. Louis. I served on that board for 6 years.
Okay.
And it generated business opportunities. Phil Trineri, who was recently murdered here, Phil Trineri and I flew to the board meeting every quarter together.
You're kidding.
We sat side by side every quarter going to the board meeting in St. Louis.
Wow.
When Pinnacle got ready to move into One Commerce Square,
right,
I did all of the moving. I moved everybody in One Commerce Square, and then they bought Masaba in Minneapolis. I went to Minneapolis, took a 18-wheeler convoy, went to Minneapolis and moved everybody back to Memphis. And it was all because we had a relationship that we had built on the board of the Federal Reserve.
Wow. I love that. And so it sounds like all of your board moves were definitely great business moves.
And I had a few passions. Boys and Girls Club was my passion.
Absolutely.
Shelby State Community College. I was at Shelby State, which is Southwest Community College now. I served on that board because I got my associate's degree at Southwest Community College. So I went back and gave back by serving on that board. I moved Nate Essick into his home, and Nate Essick was the president of Southwest. So it was
relationships once again. So I would love to know what is next for Ewing Moving and Storage. Any new partnerships, franchises, anything new that you haven't tackled?
Now it's just putting together my succession plan. My son is currently in Memphis working with me. My daughter is handling all of my projects. She lives in Chicago, but she works in the business. If I were to die tonight, it's her responsibility to come here and take this business and run it. And
technology is amazing, isn't it?
Right.
She's in Chicago helping you run your business here in Memphis.
Yeah. It's all technology.
Wow.
And you mentioned something important, succession planning.
Succession planning. You got to plan. In it, you got to plan every aspect of your business.
Right.
I turned 60 yesterday.
So which he does not look like it, listeners.
I turned 60 yesterday, so my succession plan was to really retire at 55.
Really?
Yes, I wanted to retire at 55 and become a national motivational speaker around the world.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
So I used to be a financial planner, and retire really isn't the word.
No.
Work optional is it, right?
Work optional.
You can leave if you want to, but if you feel good, you're going to stay in it, right?
Right. You'll stay in it. You never retire. I was listening at an interview today with Smokey Robinson, and Smokey Robinson said he's still working every day. He's retired, but he works every day.
I actually just saw him in concert in Miami. He still got it.
In fact, he's in Vegas all this summer. This fall. The winter he's working in Vegas every night.
That's awesome. Well, I love everything that you shared with us today. What is some advice you can give to one of our listeners who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? They're not really sure. What's that thing they need to do today to get started?
Number one, do your research.
Okay.
Do your research. And when you do your research, find your niche. These two things you got to do: research and find your niche. Your niche, my niche is service. I sell service. That's all I sell is service. I don't have a commodity. My commodity is my service.
Right.
So that's my niche, and I got to be good at it. I had a meeting today on the way back as I was driving back, telling my staff how to better serve. Find out what the customer wants. It doesn't regards to what you want to give if that's not what the customer wants. You got to make sure you deliver what the customer wants.
Yes.
If the customer wants the sofa on the roof, then that's what we do. We figure out how to get the sofa on the roof.
That's right. Get it done.
That's it. So you can't sell what people aren't buying.
Right.
You got to sell what they're buying. So you got to find your niche. You got to do your research, and you got to work hard.
I love that.
You got to go when no one else wants to go, and you got to do when nobody else wants to do.
This is GRINDSET University, episode 2.
Yes. That separates the haves from the have-nots.
That's right.
They said the difference between first class and coach is a curtain. It's really more than that. It's a mindset.
It's a mindset. And you heard it here on GRINDSET.
I knew where you were going with that. I knew where you were.
I didn't mean to be so corny.
No, that's on point, though. You can get on the same plane, take everybody to Miami, but it's the difference in first class and coach.
You heard it here on GRINDSET. You're listening to GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Mr. Charles Ewing just took us to Business 102. Howard and Beverly Robertson gave us Business 101. And so we just appreciate you for being here, all the nuggets that you've shared and dropped, and the motivation that you can provide to our listeners. Mr. Ewing, thank you so much. Mr. Ewing of Charles Ewing Moving and Storage Company. Thank you.
Thank you all so much, and I appreciate you all having me, and I hope that you ask me to come back again.
Yes,
because
sir.
we can't do it all in one segment, and I love sharing.
We'd love to have you back.
Thank you.
I'm Maurice Hill, CEO of Makita's Homemade Butter Cookies, and you're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Man, what an amazing story by Mr. Ewing. I've read books about people and seen movies about people who dedicate themselves to work and put the Lord first in their life. But Mr. Ewing is someone locally I can touch as an epitome of what happens when you put God first and just work every day of your life. And so now he has a company that he's about to leave to the next generation. And so just to be quick and brief, I just want to leave you with the major keys.
He had so many. How do you choose?
I have 5, but he has so many that you can kind of pull from this yourself. And the first one is in business and in life. And it's biblical. Do unto others as they do unto you.
Right.
Number 2, work until your job pushes you out. That's how you know you have a viable business. 3, always, always, always market yourself. And if you're in business, have a business card in the elevator speech ready on the dime. And then the last one is, which is near and dear to me, if you're bored volunteering on boards, it needs to be your passion and or help your business.
You hit the nail on the head. Those are some great major keys. I'm writing them down now. And so for me, for my woman power moment, I actually found something that tied into what Mr. Ewing does. So the quote says, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it," from Lena Horne. And so as we listen to this episode, I mean, Mr. Ewing dropped, like you said, so many major keys. And it was always about putting God first, making sure that you're doing the right thing and being focused in your business. And if you lose friends along the way, that means they're not ready to work hard with you.
Absolutely.
So that's that load that you have to let go.
Let it go. You've been listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. We'll see you next episode. Yeah, just let it go. But make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, KUDZUKIAN.com, or your favorite podcast provider. You've been listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
GRINDSET, executive producer Epicenter. Recorded at KUDZUKIAN Studios. GRINDSET is directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.